Ugh, expanding population, not normally a great idea to do during drought conditions, but here in hard mode you just have to learn to do everything during drought conditions. We are trying to see what is the largest population we can gain here on Diorama. The challenge here is that the map is absolutely tiny, 50 spaces by 50 spaces. It only has 2 water source tiles. So, trying to figure out here what the bottleneck is going to be. I think that it is going to be the amount of water produced out of only 2 source tiles is going to be the limiting factor on our population, though we don't have very much space for farmland either, and we do have to consume some of it to be able to get more building supplies out of logs. It's going to be interesting to see what really comes down to the wire and what will hinder our population from growing. Put your guesses down in the comments, and then by the end of the video, we'll see what's right. We don't want to go too nuts on the new housing, but I do want to get things moving here, so we're not just stalemating while we're working here. All right, Mr. Temple, what is it? It's still like yellow to be able to get there. Okay, so we're gonna move that to the corner of the map. Be able to use our space a little bit more efficiently here. Yep, so goodbye temple, and then rebuild. Very corner tile. I want to be able to get water pumps here in the main reservoir that we have set up, and I think I'm going to try and use a large metal platform to be able to do this. We gotta spend our metal blocks on something, right? It seems like a great opportunity, and it meshes in nicely the way we've laid things out. We want to have another tier of water pumps lower down as well. Maybe, I mean, we can dynamite out the foundation of one of these to be able to place those. These berry bushes have served us well, but now it is time to plow over them to make way for more carrots or wheat. We'll see which one we go for. Right now we have all carrots. Getting some wheat would be nice for the variety, and it also, what does that well-being trigger? We have to click on a beaver. Nutrition 3 gives us additional carrying speed. It could be solid. I wonder if the potatoes is worth it because it gives us additional strength just as a general buff, even though their efficiency just in the field is not as good as the other food types. 27-day drought coming in here to test us. We've been able to blast out the reservoir to pretty much as deep as we wanted to go. We need to be able to reconnect with the path over across the other side. We have beavers rapidly clearing the final set of scrap metal to be locked away into our storehouses for the event when we want to build more metal platforms. Maybe that was a little bit too expensive of a flex, but I don't really see myself using the metal for a carousel. I don't think we're gonna go for a carousel. Maybe I do. I mean, I have enough in the bank to be able to get one as a showpiece at the end of this, but we will see if we will allow our beavers the leisure of having fun on a carousel. I think that the next piece that we want, while we wait for this to clear to be able to expand the reservoir, is to figure out what we want to do with this other hill. We have these 2 hills off on the side. And so this could be an extension of the reservoir. It would not be a very big extension compared to what the reservoir is now. It could alternatively be used for more farmland, which I think is what I would really prefer to use it as. And so to be able to use it as farmland, we're going to have to heavily demolish the whole hill. We're going to have to cut through a lot of layers here. So blast away. Is this drought just going to come in and wipe us out right here? 27-day drought is at the very edge of the longest that we're going to see. And we still have to survive 8 days with about 1,600 food and 1,000 water. We're gonna lose all our crops. Everything will dry out and die. Even the berry bushes are going to die. Are the trees gonna die? The trees will make it. The maple trees will make it. We're not gonna be getting any new ones for a while, but we have plenty of wood in the bank. We can continue to work on construction projects while we see if we're gonna starve or dehydrate to death. I had neglected to set up my irrigation water dumps up to this point. And I mean, this drought is going to pinch us in all directions, but if we're not able to get our fields kickstarted extremely soon, then we will absolutely starve. So this will be able to get us a few extra harvests. I don't know if it's gonna matter. Zero water, everyone's thirsty, but only 24 hours to go before the pumps can turn back on. How is it always so close? The deaths are coming in fast. Come on, please tell me that you were not gonna try and work this water pump. No, they did die. Okay, so. I better play this carefully to see if we can bounce back. So what we do is we take out every single bit of industry, because industry doesn't matter if you're dead. Yes, water! We still have no surplus pop. Oh, it's so dangerous. Okay, we're gonna cut this down. You guys don't work right now, so free up workers for other places. No unemployed beavers. We're down to only 22? No! 22 left. The remnant who survived the great drought. Oh man, I thought we might have lost it right there. Our population has actually stabilized over the course of the last drought. Pretty proud of our beavers about that. They have taken their mandate to repopulate the species with vigor. Honestly, I was a little careless where I put this first irrigation dump. I wanted to be able to extend this field, and I was like, if I want to move it later on, I can just move it. But no, when you dynamite ground, you're never going to be able to replace it. So we're going to have to live with a hole in the ground here, because I want to get the extra efficiency of watering these trees from this position. So really, this was the best position to place the dump, because it irrigates land within a 10 space radius. And then I can get another one just over here and be able to keep all of my trees growing throughout the drought periods. Then we're probably going to get a well, I don't know. We're going to have a dead strip here in the middle from what the irrigation, or what the water level within the reservoir is able to irrigate, which is going to be a little interesting because that also depends on the water level's height. So we could get another irrigation dump, or we could change out the fields, maybe put water storage in between this section. Hard to see right now, but there's a dead portion of the fields right here. We could put extra water storage there. Right now we have our extra water storage all the way up against the corner of the map, which is also fine. It's good to have a large storage. We have a few ongoing projects right now, still trying to level this area to extend the farmland. We'll, I think, go for yet another farmhouse to be able to go in this area. And we're gonna go for another irrigation dump here, even though it's gonna be watered from the reservoir for most of the time. When the reservoir goes entirely dry, then we want to be able to keep the crops cycling so that we don't hit a starvation period when we're not able to keep the crops in the fields. We're also trying to just make the reservoir here as efficient as we can, as we are clearing out space around the scrap metal, blasting down to the ground floor. And we're trying to deepen the levee. I suppose the right way to say it is we raise the levee to deepen the reservoir. At this point, we are able to sustain ourselves without needing to ration water out into the riverbed. So we want to just make this as deep as we can, and then embrace the tiered structures of the water pumps to be able to delve down and continue to provide water as we work our way through the reservoir. I'm still trying to figure out if we should do the levee in levels, add another 2 levels, because that would be a point where we want to have another layer of water pumps, or if we go all the way up and then kind of work our way down from there. If we go all the way up now, then we have a larger project on our hands. It'll take longer to be able to complete, but at the same time, it'll allow us to finalize the routes of the stairways to be able to gain access to the levee and then also over the levee to be able to work the water pumps. I think that probably saves us more of a headache later on rather than having to continue to modify. And my plan is actually to use the central staircase, and then we have this path running into our towers of storage. They'll be able to have an offshoot and then connect to the levee wall from that position. How much higher do I need to make this staircase so we would have a direct access to the levee if we extended the levee for space? It's a question in perspective. It looks like we need to go up 3 more stair levels. Great levee production has begun, and we're going to really need to secure more consistent lumber to be able to make this work. So we're gonna go mark resources for demolition. Sorry, little maples. You will never be able to fulfill your true life. And then we want to double check here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hey, now we can finally maximize all of these tree planting areas, making sure that the forester has range. Does. Do we want to fill up this corner? I think we do. Use all that we can. Because right now, we have need of much lumber to be able to extend the reservoir. Man, it's gonna take so many levees. And levees are not cheap on logs. 12 per tile? Yeah, this could be a bit. This hill has finally been leveled! Now the question is, do we want to square off this little foothill that we have a bit of farmland on? I think we do, just so that it's all uniform. That gives us easier access. We'll wipe out these buildings, and I don't know why I'm doing this the slow way. Aha! There we go, get rid of all this. All those carrots. Ow. Yeah. How are they gonna take out those carrots if they just deleted the stairs? I don't know, guys. Looking at things with fresh eyes, I think it is going to be better for us to use the metal platform to be able to maximize our farm field space rather than putting them over the water. I mean, they worked great for being able to support these water pumps, but you can use the wooden platforms just as well. And they're both not going to decrease the volume of water that you can hold in the reservoir. Honestly, the metal platforms might block off more because of their support is larger. I don't know if the developers have it set so that the building volume actually conflicts with how much water is in the area. Like, when these buildings are submerged, do they actually take up space, or does the water volume get all the way up in there? You know, questions that we're probably never even going to be able to answer. But I know I want to be able to access this side of the levee wall, and to be able to do that, I have to decide, do we only access it through a path running across? Because I could build a bridge across to this side of the levee, and then continue connecting things to just run all along the top of the levee wall and nothing else. Or I could build a stairway over here. And if I wanted to build a stairway over here, that's going to conflict with field space. Getting the bridge over the triple floodgates may actually be the best route. Space for one more farmhouse in here. Want to make sure that it doesn't conflict with any of the spaces that are currently benefiting from the beehive. So right a tick away from the corner in the path. There we are. Then we can get another beehive out on this portion of the fields. And this beehive will likely move so that we can continue making this more efficient. Yeah, we're still doing boring carrots though. Haven't set up the grist mill or the bakery yet for going to wheat. Holy time-lapse, Teddy. Yes, this is the third time jump that we're getting in this video, and this is going forward quite a bit because of some issues with my health and also with recording. This is what we've got. We've made it to what I see as the final form of this diorama colony, and now we're going to go for the grand tour. A few things to point out immediately is that we have topped 300 population. I did not think that we were going to get that high. I felt like we were petering out around 200. It is absolutely crazy because right now we have 127 unemployed moochers just living off the fat of the land. But that's kind of the idea here. This is the miniature ideal beaver colony. Life is good and life is easy. But we built most of this with a population of about 80 as we were laying the foundations and trying to keep the population really lean so that we wouldn't die off during the droughts. Now we have even more than that of people who do nothing. Starting out here with the reservoir, we ended up clearing away all of the hills that had this scrap metal, building the wall all the way up, and then just absolutely filling it with water pumps. Man, if this was Iron Teeth, this would be so much simpler. They could just pump 6 spaces down, but this actually looks like some kind of mine as we go down and we delve down and we harvest up the water. This is the majority of the workforce is employed here to be able to run the water pumps and also work out of all of the hauling posts. We have 80 workers here assigned as haulers, primarily bringing water out of this ugly bathtub in the corner style reservoir. I had initially had the bright idea of trying to cover the entire floor of the reservoir in the blueberry bushes, just like we did out here for the riverbed, because they will still develop and be able to produce food. And as long as your gatherer flag is placed above the water level, then they're able to go out and harvest the berries. The hiccup is that I found out that it actually takes the beavers 2 movement tiles to travel a flight of stairs versus walking straight. So to be able to have the gatherer flags placed above the water level here, they would have to climb so many stairs that then their radius was cut to nothing on the reservoir floor and they would not be able to harvest any blueberries. So I just gave that up, and we ended up covering so much of the area of the reservoir with water pumps, there would not have been much meaningful food production out there anyway. Spinning across to our food production, this is the primary source, the primary breadbasket of the colony. We use the metal platforms here, you can see, to be able to raise them above the farm fields. Now, once I had to include the supports for the platforms and also the stairs to be able to get the farmers down to the fields, it doesn't save that much space, but it is still saving us a little bit. The exact numbers is that there are 30 tiles taken up by the farmhouses, which used to be placed in the fields themselves, and there are 11 tiles taken up by the supports and the stairways. So we are saving space to be able to grow more carrots, being able to keep our food supplies high. I found that the water was a bigger bottleneck than the food supplies. We have also transitioned to wheat here. We have a little bit of a wheat field here, and then we have a small wheat field here nestled up against the reservoir, and we are farming out of this corner of the map as well. And we've established the grist mills and the bakeries to be able to supply flour and bread out of the flour. After you account for all of the refinement processes, then wheat produces 15 units of food in 10 days, which is the highest yield per field space. Now, of course, you have to account for having the grist mills and their power sources and also the bakeries taking up additional workers and additional space. But once you have a large enough set of fields to be able to keep those running at max production, then it is better than just, say, planting carrots and having more farmhouses in the space that would be taken up by the grist mills and the bakeries. Our trusty forester has kept us supplied with logs to be able to build all of this out of just this plot of forest that he has faithfully tended all these years. Absolutely incredible work out of this, and the maples have, they've really done well for us, and logs were a pinch at a few different times, but overall, we've been able to manage just fine with the lumber that was supplied out of this. Here we have our central high-rise, which was set up from the very beginning of the game and just kept on getting taller and taller. So it is residential here on the left, the central stairway to be able to get up to the top levels on the center, and then 2 stacks of storage, each containing about 4,000 units of storage space, and then ended up being capped off by hauling posts because I was running out of space to build new hauling posts. This high-rise residential actually doesn't quite hold all 300 beavers. We started building residential in other areas because if you go from the district hall, we were starting to redline just getting up to the upper floors because the pathway up the stairs was that far. So I thought it was going to be unwise to continue to build higher levels beyond this. And because we had a few extra nooks and crannies, you might see these solid roofs. Those are all new lodges that we squeezed into every possible place. So we decided to just cap it off, get the roofs, get the monuments on top of the central residential, and make up what we needed to house 300 beavers in other areas of the map. Our industrial park has done wonders for us. The large windmills coming in clutch by not requiring very much space and no operator and no input resources. These are the big winners of playing the folktales, in my opinion. As you see, we were able to fit in a number of houses around the foundations of the windmills, something that you can't do around the engines because they take up so much more space. We've actually juggled around what industry structures we've had working in here. We started out with 2 explosives factories and then updated to a printing press to be able to get that knowledge work speed bonus on our population. And we've got the paper mills. Now we have grist mills. We didn't have those for a while. And we've also been trying to balance out gear production versus plank production, depending on what kind of building projects we have been engaging in. There they start turning. Of course, as I'm talking about them, there's no wind and thus no power for any of these buildings. We have some storage just tucked away against the corner of the map, water storage, and then our log piles. We've kind of juggled around what the ratios are here, but being able to store this much, 6,500 units of water is about the max that we get up here. And that's been pretty important to be able to hold this amount of population through the long droughts on hard mode. And finally, in the very corner of the map, we have built the tribute to ingenuity. We climbed up to the tip of the waterfall and built up here pretty much just because we could. The tribute to ingenuity is kind of the crowning achievement here. It gives you an additional longevity for your beavers, which is not the most important thing here for the folktales. It's more important for the Iron Teeth because the Iron Teeth have to quote unquote pay to be able to get children, and the folktales just get children for free. We also laid in the little carousel, which I also don't think is helping us because basically the people riding it right now are all the unemployed beavers, and I don't care if the unemployed have the bonus from fun on their well-being or not, and those who work jobs can only have a tiny window during the night where they would be able to ride the carousel. If we look at the people getting the bonus to fun, it is 74 different beavers, and we have 118 unemployed beavers right now, so yeah, I don't think we're really getting a benefit from the carousel, but I did like how this ended up looking with a little wind farm and the kind of pinnacle monuments going over here in the corner. Are you guys surprised at how many beavers we ended up packing into this map? I was not expecting to be able to get 300 population going, and honestly, I think that's a little bit on the high end of what this map is able to support. I think that I had a couple droughts in a row that were a little bit shorter, allowing me to reach all the way up to the 300 level. So there is a range that I've still been narrowing down on what the map can really support, and so the range to me is 300 on the high end and then 250 on the low end. It's somewhere in between there, but I'm pretty happy to be able to show off the 300 plus population here at the end of the video. And it's come at a really satisfying time, I feel like, for the colony. It's pretty much reaching the limits of the space all across the map. Every single tile is being used for something with just a few exceptions. There are, of course, places where we could build higher, build in more verticality. We could build more stuff underneath our industrial park if we had kind of the foresight to be able to lay that out. But as it is pretty much packed to the seams, and really, I mean, Diorama map looks great. We have terraformed this map oh so much. This used to be an enormous hill. There used to be so much over here, and then there is just a tiny river cutting through the middle of the map, and look at it now. Beavers have completely taken over and reshaped things. The devs have announced a city building challenge, which we will of course be entering. If you did not know about this, then check the description for my links to their posts. They have built a brand new map for people to be able to build a city on. The only criteria is that you use that map and you also build the tribute to ingenuity in some way in your colony, and then you show it off and they'll just be doing judging the different entries. It is very much an open form contest, but I have some fun ideas of things that we can play around with on that new map and can try and make a reality. Until then, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you were surprised by how high we were able to push our population, or if you've actually managed to have a higher population yourself on this map. And subscribe if you want to make sure that you see when we come out with our videos building that contest entry colony. Thanks for watching and have a good one.